And we're here at the Daxcast with special guest today, the UnNatural Causes, Jeff Yager, and the Supreme, Clayton Cross. How you guys doing today?
Good. We're doing good.
Doing good. You guys getting ready for your match here on May 27th here at Night of Destruction?
Yeah, we're excited. Clayton actually goes way back with the guys that were wrestling that I believe they trained together.
Yep.
So
that's right.
It'll be my first time stepping in the ring with them. But yeah, I actually saw them wrestle with you in the 6-man, I think. Was that it recently?
Yeah. Cowboy Kid and Nick Abrams.
Yeah.
Versus Logan, Wrights.
Yeah, that was really good. That was good stuff. It was really entertaining. So we're excited. Yeah, I think it's
very excited.
It's going to be a slobber knocker for the ages.
I mean, they're an excellent tag team here. They've won gold across the state at this point. Probably just a matter of time before they find some gold in Tampa if they keep doing what they're doing. So usually I like to just kind of go over the backgrounds here, and I'm gonna start with Jeff because I know Jeff's been doing it a little bit longer. I know Jeff is a Steve Kern trainee. Me and Jeff go back a little bit too, not to the Kern days, but Jeff, Jeff used to work the scene. He left the scene for a bit, and now he's had the past few years had a nice, revitalization of his career. So let's start at the humble beginnings here, as young Jeff.
Oh man, well, I was raised on wrestling. Ever since I was I remember back to literally 3-4 years old. My dad used to take us to Madison Square Garden shows in the early 90s. That's where I started to really fall in love.
Oh, you're from New York?
Yeah. I was born in New York City, Manhattan, January 1st, 1990. I moved to Stamford, Connecticut, ironically, when I was 10 months old, and I lived there till I was about 18 years old.
So you moved to the home base of WWF.
Yeah, ironically, it was 15 minutes. The headquarters were 15 minutes from my house.
So would you go by there? I'm sorry to. So would you go by there and get pictures in front of Titan Towers?
It's kind of one of those things that I've seen in my whole life. But now when I bring my son, we've taken pictures with him there, and it's cool.
Awesome.
And I think they just moved the office.
It's gone. Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Well, the building's there. They sold the building, and then now they're leasing some bigger building.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Grew up in Stamford. I guess I started wrestling at a super early age. My brother actually got me into wrestling. He's about 5 years older than me. Mm-hmm. He, started wrestling with his friends when we were super young. So he would have me go out there. I was kind of their stunt dummy. I would just take all the moves. Got really good at bumping at an early age. Maybe not the best trait, but I was really good at it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of guys from our generation, I mean, we were all screwing around like that.
Exactly.
It said, don't try this at home. We were trying everything at home.
My mom, it got to a point, I was 13 years old doing senton bombs off my roof, and my mom would be banging on the window, Jeffrey! I always gave her a heart attack. And then literally, the first time I got in a ring, I was 8 years old. My brother did a project. He was interviewing Alpha, Wild Samoan, when he was still in Pennsylvania. And it was for his 8th grade report he was doing. And Alpha was we know you guys love wrestling, get in the ring. So we put in a ref. It was before a show. And me and my brother just wrestled, and I gave him acid drop and power bombs. Yep. So then when I was about 15, I started training with Jay in Jersey before he got signed to TNA. And then Azriel took over the school. It was at Ace Pro Wrestling.
I know Azriel. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so I wrestled there for a little bit. My first paid job, actually, when I was 15 years old, was $50 to go wrestle in it was Massachusetts for this man who went on to start Beyond Wrestling. And, by the time I was 16, 17, I was doing bookings in New Jersey, training with BWO. It was a small organization outside
not Blue World Order with the blue.
No, it's different BWO. This was Body Slam Wrestling Organization.
Gosh, yeah. Meanie's a buddy of mine. So,
I actually tagged with Meanie when I was 16 years old. It's crazy.
Really.
It was a 6-man tag. It was way after ECW.
So you trained with Lethal originally when he was doing. It was a Jersey Championship Wrestling or
It
something.
was Ace Pro Wrestling.
Ace.
I think at the time it might have been ACW along those lines. I think they went by or something like that. It was
in New York or Jersey?
It was Jersey, right on the border, like right on Union City. And then when I trained with like Paul Roma and a few other guys like throughout. He was in Connecticut.
Paul Roma actually trained Rick Holiday. Richard Holiday. I know it was one of his trainees.
And by the time I was 18, I moved down to Florida. We were having our baby, Bradley at the time, who's now 13 years old. And when I moved here, I started training at FCW/WWE with Steve Kern and Norman Smiley.
Yeah, at the warehouse there, Del Mabry.
And it was cool. And it was around that time I kind of had to decide, like, am I gonna, like, do I want to be around for my kid's life? Do I want to make this like my full on? Do I want to be on the road 300 days a year, or do I want to just like, you know what I mean? And
be a dad, yeah.
So I definitely took the dad route. I wrestled for all sorts of companies in Florida over the years. And then, like thousands of matches later, I'm 33 years old now. I got a name for myself for not only my bumps growing up, but like my innovative style, like creating moves. Like when I was like 14 years old, we did the Shooting Star RKO like 6 months before Matt Seidel and Randy Orton did it. I've always been like really big on like creating spots and like testing the limits of what we're able to do.
Yeah, that's one thing I always liked about you. You were super innovative, and like, I guess, like where does that fearlessness come from that you kind of have? I mean, like, dude, you like you are, you're one of the guys I have to be like, Jeff, we got to be careful. It's a match. Like, don't kill yourself here, okay?
It's one of those. I've been doing it for so long that nothing hurts. Like it hurts now, like over time, like I'm aching in my back and my neck. But like in the ring, like when the adrenaline's pumping, I feel nothing, and it's almost to a fault. Because sometimes I'll get hurt and I can keep going. And then after a match, I'm like, oh, I broke my ankle. Oh, I broke my arm or this, that, and the other thing. But honestly, I just want to send it every match. I feel like there's no point. Like, look, I respect the old school and I'm totally like, I love 80s wrestling, 90s wrestling growing up. But I just want to send it. I don't care if there's a destroyer off the top rope. I'll do it. And I don't care if it's a headlock for 10 minutes.
I know that's dude, that's one of the things. And we got it kind of in a jam the last show, I remember.
Yeah.
And we had LJ there, TLS Styles.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need a good work rate match. I'm like, I got Jeff here. I'm like, I see Styles work plenty, plenty of matches, but I'm like, I need like balls to the wall here, guys, and you guys fucking killed it. You know what I mean? And actually, in that match, you showcased actually not just the high flying, but you actually showcased a lot of mat based wrestling as a technical ability, which like I had not seen you showcase as much. You know what I mean? But it looked really good. I was really impressed. Jeff. One of the earlier memories I had, because you got in this business long before I did, and I remember one time at Kickers, and you used to come out and you and Mosca, because you knew Moscow, and Moscow was kind of booking ACW. Yeah. And we were at Kickers, so it was kind of like after Ralph. Ralph was sort of booking, sort of not booking, whatever. Yeah. And I remember it was after the show, and you were talking to Ralph, and I think we went to Denny's or something across the street there, and you fucking took a back.
I think he gave me a lariat or a clothesline. Or
he did something, and you did a beautiful bump onto concrete in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And like it was nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, and everybody, like, I remember like Omar Mir, a bunch of
what it was, because Ralph was calling me out. He was a little, tipsy, like he used to get, and he called me out and he's like, Jeff, you won't take a bump right here. You won't take a clothesline right here. I was like, are you serious, bro? Let's go.
Bro. Yeah. And Jeff says, you're just so fucking balls to the wall, man. It's so fun about that. And
I try to slow down. I'm having another baby soon, so I'm trying to.
Oh man, congrats!
That's
right. You are. Yeah,
I'm having a baby soon, so I told Justina that I'm slowing down a little bit. Like I'll wrestle with you. I'm wrestling with a few other places. We're actually taking off, and I'm like, I need to slow down. I need to be able to play basketball when he's like 10, and
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
As someone that's injured right now, it sucks, man. I hurt my ankle, and you're
Yeah.
out 3 months, and
terrible.
it's crazy when you're in that grind, and then you have to get out of that grind, shifting gears like that. That's a hard thing to do. You know what I mean?
It's hard to adjust. Yeah.
To
me, it's like when I don't wrestle for a while, I'm like, I feel weird. I feel like you get the itch.
Bro, yeah, it's like a drug. I'm pretty straight edge. I mean, I'll have a beer here and there, but I'm pretty straight edge as far as things go, and like, wrestling's basically the biggest drug that I get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to touch on Kern. And so Steve Kern, just to add some context here, Steve Kern, he was Skinner. He was in the Hollywood.
He was one of the doinks, one of the first
doinks. He was the bad doink.
Yeah.
Matt Bourne's the original doink, and then
right.
I guess they thought they looked alike, so he kind of was the replacement doink for a little bit, and the evil one. But real big in the '80s and all that kind of stuff. And it's so funny because I remember you told me you were trained by Kern, and I'm like, you wrestle nothing like Steve Kern.
I know.
You're like, I would have thought you were trained by AR Fox or somebody like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
that's funny. I'm really proud of those moments. Norman Smiley was a great guy. I listened to a lot of what he said. He's very.
And Norman was training you as well.
Yeah, he was like the head trainer at the time. Like Steve would train, but he wouldn't get in and talk.
Yeah, he's older.
He might grab a headlock or two, but Norman, even at his age, would still roll around with you. And it was crazy because at that time when I was training, it was guys like Sheamus were like still at the FCW, arena before they even went to WWE. It was crazy. And the funny thing is, I actually met Clayton right when I moved to Florida, and I would go to FCW training after going to Clayton's house to wrestle on a mat to train. We would do like head scissors and all this crazy stuff, backflips, moonsaults, shooting stars.
Yeah.
And then I'd go train with Norman Smiley an hour later in Tampa.
So you get that out of your system before you go down there. Norman teach you the wiggle there. But at that time, it was kind of like a weird situation that they were in because Steve Kern originally had Hard Knocks, which is up on Gun Highway, which is in near Carrollwood. I used to live near there. And it was like a Patriot, like a flag building that he trained. And then he ended up, obviously he also worked for WWEF, whatever it was at the time. And then he ended up going and getting the school and making it bigger. And so he would run that little pocket for development through Florida Championship Wrestling. And not to be confused with Championship Wrestling for Florida, which is a different company. But the thing is he ended up going and doing it, and it was like he had the developmental guys, like the project guys at WWE would send him, and then he would basically train these guys from the beginning, or maybe they were heads like Sheamus. He was wrestling in UK and stuff beforehand, and then he came over or what have you. But you had Sheamus, you had was Big Con there, or was he already through at that point?
I think he was already. He might have been already through, or it might have even been before him. I'm not sure, but I know what's crazy is that it kind of was the initial NXT.
It turned into the NXT because I remember that building. It went from FC. It was still black and gold or whatever it was. It was FCW written on that building, which now coincidentally is like a bounce house place for kids or something, which is kind of ironic.
Good repurpose.
So you had the project guys that would be there, and then you had the guys that would just enroll into the school, which is like a wild idea. That so I'm sure that, and then they had a direct. Kern would still FCW would also do shows over at help me out, that one bar that they used to do the shows at.
Forget what it was called, but I know you're talking about.
Bourbon Street.
Yeah. Oh, Bourbon Street. Yeah. Well, that was when Ralph was running. It was.
Okay. Ralph was Bourbon, but there was
Ralph
something.
Was Bourbon. Then they were running at somewhere else. I think in Tampa at some.
It's closed now. I'm pretty. Gasoline Alley.
Gasoline Alley. Yeah. That's right. That's right.
So they would run those shows in conjunction with the school.
Right.
And you guys, and then Kern also had some older students of his from Hard Knocks, like like David Mercury, like Michael Patrick, like Eddie Negron, all those guys were also there. Damien Angel.
Yep.
So like it was kind of like this kind of like fusion of indie talent.
It was almost like a territory. It was its own it was like a little territory at the time. Yeah, and it's funny when I graduated at FCW, it was one of those things where they're like, we don't really have any more, advanced classes or anything, but we're gonna send you to this guy Ralph Mosca and Dante Brown, and they're gonna take care of you. And
Howard.
That kind of like was the beginning of like my Florida wrestling,
and that turned into Howard had Florida Underground Wrestling,
right,
and Ralph had AC American Combat Wrestling, as well. So it was kind of worked out, I guess, in the sense that they didn't leave you guys hanging high and dry. You kind of had some options to go to. But what I wanted to ask you was was there a lot of tension, I guess, that or resentment, the fact that like they had these project guys that were bound for TV, and then they had you guys.
I think at the end of the day, the wrestling is one of those things where a lot of guys, especially back then, like when I first moved to Florida, it felt like a lot of guys were so worried about their spot, who was going to get to the Fed and how you were going to get there and how you were perceived. And like, it wasn't like so much of a camaraderie like Florida wrestling has kind of turned into over the years.
The boys club type thing,
especially with like NXT and like even AEW being like based out of Jacksonville, and like Florida has kind of become the epicenter of indie wrestling and guys trying to get to the major leagues because of that. I believe that was like the beginning of that.
Yep.
And now people move, like when we go to Proving Ground at WWN. People are coming here from all over, like Germany.
We're still coming,
just to have like a 20-minute, to have a 3-minute tryout match. To even, what I mean. And it's crazy to see how it's evolved. And even like Tampa Bay Pro is like, to me, it's one of the staples of indie wrestling in Florida now, because there's a lot of pathways that people are trying to get to. Like I said, WWE or AEW or even TNA being in Florida, and Tampa Bay Pro, it's like it's got that real indie, gritty, like real deal, like heart, like passion. People do it because they still love it, not because they're hoping somebody's gonna see them and they're gonna get signed tomorrow and it's gonna change. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah.
Oh, there have been some people that got signed, but that's a whole nother. But yeah, and that's how I like to keep it. I kind of like the, even though I might use some guys and they might work some other shows, I try to keep my product kind of like unique in a sense. And it's not me being like, I want to be a big Vince McMahon or whatever and control everything. It's because like from a marketing standpoint, I want my product to have its own identity. Yeah. If everybody has the same flavor ice cream, why would they want to come to my show? That's what I mean? So, and I also try to have a nice little fusion of different things. We have some, Ring of Honor style match. Yeah. We'll have different tag matches. We have more gimmick style
very
matches.
Well-rounded.
Yeah,
and very well-rounded.
I've always liked doing that because ultimately it's a live event, but also I add that TV edge to it that we do produce the stuff. It's not just good. It's not just like a fair show or something like that where we're going to do it and no one's ever going to see it other than the people that are there. I try to make sense of it too, because also as somebody, if you work in TV, it is organized. It's not like you show up, there's a chalkboard, you see your name on it. It used to be like that, but not anymore. And I try to add that element to there. So it just adds to the, the production value as well.
I like the vibe. I tell Clayton, it's like my favorite place to wrestle. And also you have to take credit because you ran shows on the same day as pay-per-views, and people still show up at like 7:00 to Retro Rack or
or Campbell Park or Beef O'Brady's or whatever.
And that's a testament because
I try not to run on the same days as those, but sometimes it happens.
What I'm saying is that sometimes it does, and then people still showing up. It's like people want that live feel. Not everything's going to be in front of 50,000 people.
I think it is from a promotion standpoint. There's a lot of options that are out there,
right?
And I just want but honestly, I just focus on what I'm doing.
Right.
I mean, I've ran against Gasparilla, not on purpose,
Right.
the Gasparilla parade, and we did okay. I mean, I was like, do I wish there was more people? Of course I do. As a promoter, you always want more people there. But but the thing is I have slowed down a little bit just because venues are crazy expensive, life, family, things like that. But I still try to make my product as ultimately I want a regular a wrestler with trained eyes to be able to watch my show and still be entertained. You know what I mean? Because I will tell you, I go and I'll see other shows. Most of these ones I don't work at for a reason. But I'll watch some other shows and I'm like, this is terrible. Or as a trained eye, I don't understand. But and it kind of drives me crazy. It'll be because if I work in an environment that I'm not I don't like their product, I don't want to work there. And it's no offense to those people. But there's some products out there that I want no affiliation with for that reason, because I don't want that on my So let's jump into Mr. Clayton Cross over here. So Clayton, let's start from your humble beginnings here. You're a Floridian through and through, a real Florida man.
Yeah, born here in Clearwater and raised in Clearwater.
Yeah, I kind of get, because I've been in Florida since 2003, from by way of upstate New York, and I kind of get pissed off now when people say this Florida man shit. Does it piss you off, Clay? I mean, you're a local,
I've been here from the beginning. I mean, I don't really get too upset about it. I try not to let people get to me. It's not a big deal in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't affect you, but it drives me nuts sometimes. People start getting
it's a meme, really.
Yeah,
it turned into meme culture. Yeah, you're exactly right.
There are some crazy people here, though. That's
sure.
We also get a lot of crazy people. I mean, if you go out to California, bro, SoCal. I mean, you got some. Oof. Now they can't even
Colorado, all sorts of whiskey.
I mean, Colorado, Seattle. I mean, places people gravitate towards. Like you brought up, Florida's like the Mecca. Like it's sort of like the Hollywood of wrestling, where people want to be actors and singers. They go to California, go to L.A. But wrestling, they come here. But Clay, let's go back. So Clearwater. What high school you graduated out
of? Clearwater High School.
Is that the Tornadoes?
Yeah. Back in 2011, I graduated. Wow. And funny thing is, our school is the only school that got hit by our actual own mascot.
Oh my God! Oh, that's true. I guess a real tornado, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what year that was. That was a long time ago. But yeah, a tornado came and blew the whole freaking school down, and then started up from scratch.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, you see that school. If you go to Clearwater, at least the old route, if you go, across the bridge there and go right through, you pass that high school right there on the left hand side. I can't remember the name of the road there, but
Gulf to Bay. It's all different now. They redid and remodeled the whole school, so it looks totally different from when I went there.
That's wild. So graduated Clearwater High. Then are you wrestling in high school, or kind of?
I did amateur wrestling
around a little bit. School. Okay, so you did some amateur too. Okay.
Yeah, for the high school, I did it for 1 year. I turned out I wasn't good at it, so I actually kind of stopped.
You're like, when are we doing moonsaults, guys?
Pretty much.
Where's the stunners at?
I like the other wrestling stuff, the one that we do right now. I like that a lot more than the amateur stuff.
So you're going about now. Did you train with Jeff? Because Jeff did bring up the Project Wrestling stuff, which I wanted to dive into a little bit.
That was like 2015, 14.
Somewhere around there.
It was kind of just like one of these things. We had a whole bunch of guys that we've known for a while, like, the Brailer, the Xaviers, and the Tolls.
Drake Xavier. You had Flip Kid, his brother.
We had a bunch of buddies that
You had the one guy. What is his name? I love this dude. He's he would come out in BDSM clothes. Skinny, real skinny guy. Christian
Rob,
maybe Boomer. I don't know.
Skinny guy.
I don't know, but yeah, the way that started. So funny thing is, I actually wrestled Clayton at Bourbon Street a couple times. Ralph,
really?
Yeah. So Clayton, when he was like 18 years old,
yeah,
because I would literally train Clayton. Like I said, like when I was going to FCW when we met, and I moved down here, and then like Ralph's like, "You got any guys that want to come wrestle you?" I'm like, "Yeah, my boy Clayton." And I had to like tell him he was. I think you were like 17 or something.
Yeah, it was like right below 18.
And we like stole the show. It was like the second match of the night, and they would like come out. They'd be like, "Oh, you hit too many finishers." We're like, we did one big move, but
Ralph, we love you if you listen.
Yeah, I love Ralph, and fucking project. It was really just like for fun. Like we had a flea market. They like wanted us.
The gun flea market. Yeah,
Gun Highway Flea Market, which is now literally a skeleton.
I know, bro.
Yeah,
it's so sad. Like Tampa Pro, we started at Big Top Flea Market.
Right.
And originally, and I had a connection there because I was an old video vendor there, and it hurt when they're like, yeah, we're closing down, like we're closing up shop, and this is like now that one's Big Top's gone, and then now Gun Flea Market's gone. Done.
Yeah. But Gun Highway, it was another world, man. It was like the dustiest like cowboy Midwestern. Like
I used to watch like you guys had something on YouTube or Twitch or something like that. You guys used to put some content out there, and I'm like, these guys are crazy.
Yeah, we used to go in, and the funniest thing is like, so at first we charged for like the first couple shows, and then we were like, man, we're just like, we're just getting like random passerbys that would like stop and watch. We didn't walkthroughs, so we just got sick of like dealing with all of it. So we're like, we're just gonna wrestle, and whoever wants to come. Some shows we had like 200 or 300 people. We had like a festival with bands a couple times. It was fun. It was like 2 or 3 years of our lives that,
and it was outside. It was outside too.
During the summers. The summers were ruthless. Like, wrestling in the sun here is terrible.
Yeah. And it rains every day in Florida. So,
and they treated us really well. They never asked for they didn't ask for a dime. They actually paid us a couple times to.
So it's like sort of bought in a sense, which is nice.
Really
but you would also train guys there too.
We would train a few guys.
Was it just training them on the weekend, or could you come during the week?
A couple of us would go whenever we wanted because it was only open on the weekend. But like we had access to like if we wanted to go train during the week, we could. And it was just cool, man. Like, it was a lot of good people there. It was real, like, real Southern style, like, folks. Like,
oh, yeah. It's literally a Gun Highway.
Exactly.
Flea market.
Salt of the earth. Like, salt of the earth.
Right on the border when you start getting into Pasco. I live in Pasco. I live in Landover. So I live right up the road.
And it was a good time. It was fun. And at some point, the owner, Paul, he told me, he goes, "Hey, some rich guys buying the land, and they're gonna knock the whole thing down." And we're like, "All right, R.I.P. Gun Highway."
Yeah.
Clayton killed it. Clayton used to wrestle in unmasked.
Is that right, Clayton? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't really care for it. It would get too hot and too cluster mess.
You don't like wearing a mask in wrestling. Yeah. You're so tongue. I hate wearing masks in wrestling, and I do it on TV. But it's just wild, dude. Dude, I just had to bring that up because a lot of people don't know this. Yeah. But like, you did actually have a hand in training some of these guys that were really good. Like, and Thank you. Obviously, you guys see Drake Xavier.
Yep.
I've always seen the talent that Drake had. He's really got his body and his nutrition up and his body in great shape now. And it's like, dude, now WWN starts seeing him and some of the other guys start seeing him. But I'm like, dude, I've known this guy for a bit. Like he's fantastic.
Yeah, we used to wrestle with Drake. We used to wrestle with Chris and
Chris as well.
Yeah, we used to wrestle with them in like Citrus County, like 12 years ago, 13, literally 14 years ago.
A long time ago.
We had like this little network, you know what I mean? And a lot of us, like, we broke through because, we're innovative, but we also understand the pro side of wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Xavier is one of them that really understands it. He gets it.
Yeah. I really, I saw his brother there at
Mason. Yeah, that's our boy.
Yeah, we used to call him Flip Kid.
Yes.
And dude, that kid is super athletic. And I remember
I've had some bangers with Mason.
He's really amazing.
Dude, he really amazing, and he stopped wrestling there. He ended up breaking his wrist, to my knowledge. I remember they did some like what wrestling or something. They did up in Spring Hill or Crystal River or something. And when Drake ran a show, and he ended up getting hurt, and then he kind of disappeared. But it was nice seeing him at Kaiju because I'm like, dude, that kid, you know.
He's the man. I haven't seen him literally in like 8 years until Kaiju. I was really happy.
Yeah, I was like hoping he would get that itch again because dude, like
he probably. I think he might. It just takes a little bit of motivation and inspiration. And anybody, like DDP, I think didn't he even start his career at like 35,
33, 34. Like, but he was, people say that, but he was in the business beforehand. Like, he was connected. It's a little different if you had no connection with him. Yeah.
Hey, for all your merchandise and collectible needs, check out ShopTampaBayProWrestling.com. We've got merch and more from your favorite superstars. We'll see you there.
Hey, guys, I just want to give you a little sampling of Jeff Yager, his hip-hop rap. And I'm going to pull up his SoundCloud. I'll just give you a quick snippet here. You can check it out on soundcloud.com/Jeff_Yager. Here you go.
They say you can't live in the moment, looking down at your phone, but I'm just trying to write a book on me, so leave me alone. It's about a guy that tried to buy the world, but got way too distracted by the girls. But he went from mistakes and no longer fuck with fakes. Hoes claim they love the music, but they still fucking the Drake. I'm with the crew in the gauntlet, and those squad lit. I bet your girl twerking on us while we watch the workaholics bomb shit. You gotta think outside of the box and get burnt. You gotta think outside of the box and get turned. My mama brought me up right. You should learn your man and smoking blunts with Bernie Sanders, and he turned to Colonel Sanders. I can out-fam you, I can out-squad you. Get the whole damn city to outlaw you. I don't watch documentaries, homie, I'll make them. I need a PR manager for my public relations.
Hey, everyone, I just want to let you know, I probably did record that the most bootleg way possible, putting my microphone up to my laptop speaker. If you go and check it out on SoundCloud, it's full high res, all that kind of stuff. Check him out, Jeff Yager on SoundCloud. And back to the show. But like he's a young kid. He has plenty of time. He's probably mid-20s now. So, but a lot of people, like, if you haven't seen it, I think it was on Twitch or it was on YouTube. I can't remember. You look at Project Wrestling. But they got some wild matches, dude. I mean, it was entertaining. I mean, is it at a flea market outside in the middle of the sun floor? Yes. But the thing is like, if you watch the Young Bucks or you watch a lot of these old CZW matches and all this kind of stuff, like, of course they were like in shitty areas or whatever. Like not like right now, like I don't like running outdoor shows. But I will, because right now venues are crazy, and you got to have some sort of shade and make sure the boys are taken care of. But I try to spruce it up the best that you can, with those outdoor shows. And luckily, this Saturday is actually I got it later, so it's going to be cooler, So because that sun,
I stopped by Retro Rat to get my kids like some toys the other day, and the guys were talking about that. They're like, "It's later this time, so you won't be dying in the heat,
so you won't be burning to death." And then like the last show we had like on the hard cam side that was like, everyone was on the hard cam where the hard cam is, not on the side opposite of hard cam. So it's like I just had a bunch of empty chairs for the first two matches. I'm like, oh Jesus! I'm like, I'm gonna have to work some production magic on these production on this. But Clay, let's go back to you. So you were so you've been kind of doing stuff, with Jeff for a while, and I guess when you credit Jeff as your first trainer in a sense.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
We had a mutual friend. His name was Ryan. He was actually my roommate when I first moved to Florida. He was like Clayton's best friend. They kind of wrestled together.
We'd always hang out.
And me and him did pro too. So like we had a couple pro matches, me and Ryan was like ahead of his time. He's since retired like 8 years ago. But he kind of connected me and Clayton, and we would all wrestle together. And then he kind of faded away and did like music. And Clayton, he just loved wrestling. Like I always knew since I met Clayton that he loves wrestling more than me. Like I love actually wrestling, but like
doing it. but
I
the
love
product
industry, but like I
Yes.
can barely watch it on TV now without being like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. It's like almost hard for me to get into it, except for like Mania and like Rumble. I barely can watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people don't realize, like, like Lethal, Clayton's a lethal guy. And I guess you are in a sense too, Jeff. Like Jay, like when he has the talk, I guess I'll say that, like the talk with you, to kind of, because fans don't know this talk, and I'm not gonna pull the curtain back. I'm sure people can YouTube it or try to figure it out, but it's not very clear online either. But there is a method to the madness.
Right.
And when he breaks that down to you, Jay says, if I tell you this, you're never going to look at wrestling the same way. And
Right.
because you're going to just know how the sausage is made,
Yeah.
Right.
and once you know that, it is what it is. It's going to change you.
You know what it is, dude? Also, I grew up like literally I was 9 years old going to ECW shows with like Sandman pouring beer in my mouth when I was like 9 years old. And by the time I was 12 and 13, I was doing ring crew at ROH. And like CM Punk and Joe would be like, hey, buddy, how's this spot look before shows? So like that curtain kind of got peeled back a long time
Such a
ago.
wild, yeah.
You know what I mean? So 20 years later, it's like I love wrestling to death. It's always a part of me. But like the fan side of it is hard for me to still be like suspend my disbelief. But like Clayton, if anything, Clayton got me back into it. He'd invite me over to watch pay-per-views with his dad and his brothers. So I actually had a good time with that. Like every year we'd watch WrestleMania together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was always a good time to do.
Is Jeff annoying when he's watching wrestling? Be like, bro, this is gonna happen next. He's gonna pin it.
He's
Then he's going to attack.
That's funny you say that, because I actually do that kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
He gets actually into it pretty good, where he's like yelling at the TV and stuff.
I yell, and like if it's a spot I haven't seen before, if I don't see it coming, I pop. I'm like, oh, you saw that?
Yeah.
Or good bumps. I love good bumps.
I've actually learned to kind of try to tune it out, to tune out my education. If I just want to enjoy it, like WrestleMania or something, I'll try to just tune it out. I'm not trying to study
Mania is always, to me, Mania is like the Super Bowl.
Just relax, enjoy it, and because
Royal Rumble is my favorite, like probably my favorite pay-per-view of the year, just because it's like you can't see what's going to come, so they always do a good job. Like still suspending my disbelief. It's
kind of it's kind of like most guys in wrestling. Like if you're a wrestler, you don't like working a Rumble or a Battle Royal.
Right.
But for a variety of reasons. Most reasons is one, it doesn't only showcase you. You know what I mean? It showcases everybody. So like, you kind of get mixed into the bunch there.
We try to have fun in Rumbles now, though.
But then like when you watch as a fan watching, you love them. You're like, this is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the best thing ever, because you have the surprise element and all these other elements that come into it. So it's funny, like, especially the Rumble. The Rumble's my favorite. But definitely. Like when people are like, hey, we're going to put you in the Rumble. Like I do the Tampa Rumble, for example. I try to do that on an annual basis, or the St. Pete Rumble, wherever we are at the time. And, I've done 40 men. I think Clayton's been in a few.
Wow, that's
and I think 40 I would never do again. I did 2 years, and that was like,
wow.
I was like, no one else does 40. I'm gonna do 40. The first one we ever did was 20. Then we did 30. Then I did 2 40s. I'm like, I'm not doing 40 again.
Too much.
It's just so many people.
You hear the Jersey Feds doing a 200. You hear that?
I actually when we had the COVID what is it called? The COVID WrestleMania that was supposed to come to Tampa.
Right.
I wanted to do a like largest Royal Rumble in history type of thing, like let's do 200 or whatever. Because they're gonna have a lot of boys just showing up too, that were gonna be in there and try to get us to work or whatever. So I was like, man, that would be so cool, like to eat in Guinness or something like that. Maybe one day, but but up in Jersey they did it like 2 years later. I was like, God damn.
It's funny. We were all talking. I was just in this Rumble like 2 weeks ago. I just posted a clip from, and it wasn't a Rumble though. It was a battle royal, and it was like 26 people that all started in the ring. So literally, you're like,
wow,
barely.
It was a true battle royal.
But yeah. But it was fun though, because it was funny because there was a pretty random show with a bunch of random big names. Like Rich Swann was in the Rumble.
Was
like
it the Boca?
Yeah, Boca Raton.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking Jimmy Hart was there randomly. Matt Cardona, because the dude that owns it is like pretty like rich, I guess. So like we had like it was crazy. It was weird. It was
Ryan Katz was over there originally when that Boca Raton started up, and now he's back in the Fed. So I didn't know I didn't even know they were still doing shows, but that's good.
Yeah, I guess they might have just came back pretty recently. But
yeah. So Clay, I know you can't keep getting on these tangents, but it's okay. So how do you end up finding Lethal and getting started? Then you contacted me because I was running administration at the school, and then I or my wife got you processed.
It was actually your wife did it. I was going through a tough time in late 2018, and then a year later I was trying to remind myself what makes me genuinely happy, and it was always wrestling. Wrestling was always there. So I was talking to my good friend at the time, Zachary Cooper, about it. And then he told me randomly that Jay Lethal had a school. He said it was in Tampa, actually. And then he showed me the flyer and stuff. And then I believe I contacted your wife or something about the school.
Mm-hmm.
I remember her asking if I lived near, what was it, Pinellas Park or St. Pete or something. And I said, yeah, I'm in Clearwater, because I thought it was in Tampa, but it wasn't.
It was in Tampa. It was in Tampa originally. Right near the airport.
Okay, that's where I got into.
Yeah, we ended up moving. Yeah,
okay,
we ended
so
up moving.
Probably right. Well, you guys probably moved right when I was gonna get into it, but yeah,
I think you were your class was the first at the new school. Yeah.
Okay, now that makes sense. Okay, yeah. So I just contacted, and then she told me when the date was for like an open house type deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided to show up there, and I loved everything they were saying and what they could teach us and stuff. And I knew that I would be able to do it.
Yeah.
So I just paid to get in and started training.
Yeah. And I remember because like we actually would write notes up for like do a profile for everybody so that Lethal kind of had an idea, or me. Or the other coaches would have an idea of like their background, if they had prior training or what have you. And I remember when you first came along, I like remember seeing this. Oh yeah, he had some sort of training before, but it wasn't complete. But which like sometimes that's bad because they bring bad habits. But with you actually worked out fantastic with like your training and everything, and I was always a big supporter of, because I knew your athleticism, I seen it, and I was like,
I appreciate it,
like let's make sure Clayton doesn't like put that to a side, because a lot of the times they're like, hey, keep it basic for the time being, but
I hear that a lot still.
Yeah. And like
we're trying,
and it's about finding that happy medium. And I think you're definitely at that. Jeff's helped you out with that too. We're smarter.
Yeah, I got help out a lot about it. Sometimes it's still iffy on what certain moves people think are too big, and then certain moves people don't think are too big. Like everyone has their own opinion on that, so it's kind of
like, there's the 15 super kick or what have you.
Exactly. Like I get told like this move's not good for a shine, but I think it is, and it can get confusing at times. But I just gotta go with my gut, and
I think he's really trainable. Like he can adapt,
coachable.
Well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, coachable.
Yeah. Coachable. Yeah, Clayton's always been super easy to work with. I love working with him, and like with the Clayton, like usually the guys are all gun ho and overconfident. And Clayton, I have to break him out of the show a little bit. Like, Kelly, come on, give me some more,
Yeah.
And like especially with the character and stuff, because he got like Clayton's always had the athleticism, you know what I mean? And now he's learned the process, through all the
Starting to
training that
open-
he's had.
It's starting to open up a little bit.
Yeah, I've always
Yeah.
been a shy person, and I'm trying to break that barrier. Sometimes it's hard.
I remember having a conversation with Clay, and I'm like, Clay, why are you so down? Cheer up, man. You're doing what you love. Like, this is what you want to do. Like, ultimately, you cannot be doing this, be miserable the rest of your life. So it's like, just,
yeah, I get that. I'm trying to work on it.
no, but you're doing a lot better. About
He's
that.
safe too. I'm gonna put corner now. He's like the safest guy I've ever wrestled. Like, we've done some of the dumbest things, but I've always trusted him because he was in it. You know what I mean?
That's usually my number one priority is safety. So
and it should be, and
for sure.
So I mean, let me touch on some of the other stuff. I guess we kind of you talked about like you guys' developmental, your upbringing, things like that. Any kind of dream matches or rivalries, that are kind of on the bucket list for you guys, whether too much fantasy or I usually like to ask, like, what's like the dream and what is like the realistic goal that you might have for some opponents or things like that.
So honestly, depending how it goes, I think it's going pretty well. Like, we've been wrestling a lot of people we want to wrestle, like teams that are maybe not our exact style, but guys that we can definitely wrestle well with. If I were to go fantasy, honestly, like wrestling like some sort of match, like even singles or tag match with like guys like Ricochet, I look up to AJ Styles, Claudio, Bryan Danielson. A lot of the indie darlings are like definitely like, like not so much Punk anymore. No offense to Punk, but like definitely growing up, guys like Punk, Samoa Joe. Those guys are on the bucket list, like somehow working with them in some way.
And what's funny, Jeff, is like, I think in a lot of ways you're actually more athletic than some of those guys. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but you are. Like people don't realize, if you've never seen Jeff Yager is pretty much the same height as me. Like, we're like 6'4", okay? And Jeff, like, what are you, like 230? I would say maybe
240. Yeah,
240. Yeah. And this guy can do like a standing shooting star press and shit. Like, it's crazy. The shit, freaking Phoenix splashes and like crazy.
I mean, it's definitely in like growing up wrestling and like adjusting to pro. It's like your style changes a little bit, but then you get back in the ring with guys that are willing to go like that, and you're like, oh shoot, all right, let's get it. But a lot of times I feel like me and Clay, and even we both felt it, like where we kind of have to like get on their level wherever they're at. And that's fine. We're fine with it. But when they tell us, like, yeah, let's do it, like the Sons of Liberty, like, ironically, every time we've wrestled with them, they want to go. Like, we do some, they do some good stuff.
They always told us that they liked wrestling us.
Yeah, because like we actually make them do stuff. And I mean, like, we love wrestling those guys. We definitely wrestle the Hellhounds again.
Yeah, and, it's funny when you say fantasy, because realistically, Exodus was actually on one of my fantasies because I trained with them and had some practice matches with them actually, and I know we would do really good on it. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. And then another two people pop up too. I don't know if you would know them. They live in Pennsylvania. Their name is Unbreakable Andy and Arbo.
Yeah,
okay.
I would love to face those two also. They know what I'm trying to say. They're equivalent with Tony Deppen, actually.
Okay,
so
like that style, like Tony.
And like they all know each other too.
So I actually have a win over Deppen from like 2009 in Pennsylvania.
Really?
You know Tony Deppen?
Yeah, I know Tony.
ROH and all that. Yeah, so
I've known Tony for not well. Like, we're not like, but like somehow we always get put near on the same show. Like he was just at MLW tapings for the Opera Cup. He did some stuff like that. But I've known. So I've ran across him for a long time.
We've known Deppen since like 06, like even before he went.
Yeah, he just broke his arm.
Yeah.
Against that Sabre Jr.
Deppen's a good dude. I'm really happy to see all his success.
He went far.
He's doing good.
Very far.
And like that's like from our network. Like there's a lot of guys like that. Like they come from like we have the same mindset. Honestly, we would love to wrestle him in some way. Maybe a tag match.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Tony.
I don't know if you know Alex Zane. He's our buddy. In GCW.
Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
in WWE for a
Hot
little
sauce.
bit. I've known him since I was like literally like 13. Like we've all
He was signed for a bit there, and
during
then
COVID. Yeah.
and then he was part of the snap that they did during the later snap that cut a bunch of guys.
I heard they're doing another one soon, so it's tough. You know, what they do is they hire too many guys that they can't showcase as much. You know,
it like who was it that went there? It was Zane and Blake Christian.
Yeah.
And it's like, how, like, dude, you guys don't see that with these guys. Like, I don't know how you can't see it. You know what I mean? So then, like, they go, they get released. So then they're going to New Japan Strong. They're going to GCW. They're going to, all the, the big flying places. And it's like, dude, man, they're just going to kill it even more. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would be actually a dream match. Us against Blake and Zane would be great.
Yeah, I actually had a little like practice match type deal with Tony Deppen a long time ago.
Yeah,
it was really fun and interesting.
He's a wild dude. One time I funny backstage story was I did the ring rental, the Mania that did actually happen in Tampa. And I, because I was doing, I think IWTV or like Ron Nemi hit me up and was like, "Hey, we need a ring for this for 4 days or whatever." And so I did the rental for Ron, and it was funny. Tony was there obviously because they had like ICW New York and all that kind of stuff there. But Tony had like his own like event during that thing.
I think so. Yeah. Mania
and it was like an afternoon thing, and I just happened to be there because it was Mania week or whatever, because it was my ring rental, and they didn't have enough staff, so I ended up announcing for the show, like and helping with music, and just announced as well to help Tony out, because sometimes Tony would be on how do you call it broadcast, so broadcasting the matches, but he couldn't announce and broadcast at time sometimes, so I had to help him out a little bit, but. Just small world there. But yeah, man, and I see you guys have done some traveling. You went up to was it Pigeon Forge or Glattenburg? Tennessee.
We wrestled in Tennessee a couple months ago with
Crossville.
Our buddy Caleb runs it. Caleb Courageous. He's doing good things over there.
Dude, I'm a little jealous because like when you go on vacation and you see like a wrestling place, you're like, man, I need to wrestle this place because it's on vacation. And that specific promotion, I saw a flyer in my truck or my rental got flyered, and I remember finding, I'm like, oh man, they got wrestled like literally up the road. I'm like, damn. And then and next I saw you guys work out, like, you motherfuckers. These guys are working that show.
It was fun. It was like one of those things where we drove like 10 hours and like we get there and it's like the smallest of the small towns. I'm like, dude, we should go check out some stores. And I'm like doing GPS and I'm like, oh, okay, so let's go to the thrift store. We'll walk around the thrift stores. But we found this awesome like waterfall in the middle of nowhere. I was like, dude, we gotta check this out. It was like the biggest waterfall we ever seen.
It's beautiful out there, dude. I've only wrestled in Tennessee once or twice. I think it was up in Chattanooga for Ox Harley.
Nice
at MSWA.
The crowd was hot. They were good.
Yeah, definitely. It was a lot of fun. Rex Bacchus was with us. It was Dirty Blondes. Brought me up. Yeah, rest in peace, man.
Good guy.
I guess what's like short term and long term, like I guess what do you guys see on Natural Causes, or you guys as single competitors?
It's a good question.
It is.
I told this guy we're gonna win some belts, so that's the next step. We've been getting booked on more and more shows. We're going to debut at Real Pro in June. We have a match against their tag champs.
Who's their tag champs?
Bobby Chrono and Ray Zion, if I'm saying it correctly.
House of Spades.
Yeah, House of Spades.
House of Spades. Okay. Yeah.
So we're wrestling there. Honestly, I'm having the baby soon, so who knows what's going to happen. But as long as this guy
kind of play by ear, I think that's sometimes the best way of going too.
Yeah,
it's honestly worked the best. Like I took a few years off, and the funny thing is, this guy got me back into it just by saying, he's like, "Listen, dude, I want to start a tag team. I trust you." He's like, "Would you do a tag team with me?" And honestly, he was like, "I think it'll help me get more bookings." And I'm like, "For you, fuck it." And I was like, "Let's do it."
And also being on the road. Like having, like I tagged with Chris Calloway for a long time. We were the Renegades, The original Renegades. Okay, before
Right.
before another company has twins that were using the name. And but you know, like we were running gun in there for a while there, and then you know he has some stuff that he's like, I need to focus on this
Right.
at home. And you know, so I've been running gun on my own, but it's like at least I had that support system for a long time, and having somebody with you makes a big difference. So now it's like I'll hit guys up, be like, yo, jump in the car with me, you know, things like that. And you know, I think
absolutely.
I think just keep your options open, and you
Honestly,
know, you guys are good dudes. You know what I mean? Like, so people will want to help you. Some people don't like.
We're learning.
Like,
we're learning.
Yeah, like, and you'll find out the guys that will help and the guys that won't, and you support those guys that help. You know,
honestly, a real goal of mine that I've told him since we actually created the team was I think we could get an AEW. I think it's an absolute possibility. If we get in the gym enough, we could probably try to get into NXT or WWE. But
you
honestly,
still got time. You still got time.
I think our wrestling style might blend really well in AEW. I think we'd have
or even the new Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor, AEW would be
any of those. Even TNA maybe, but you know, I know we both probably got to get in the gym a little bit more. We got to get a little bigger and beefier, but like, you know, we definitely represent like that common man that is willing to go. Like that, you know, you put us in a match against anybody, we're going to give it our all. We're going to be safe, but we're going to. I don't want to say we're going to steal the show, but there's a good chance it might happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, dude, like you guys, you know, like that's why I love working with you guys a lot, because I could put you guys in any situation. You could be open to match. You could be, you know, match after intermission, match before intermission, whatever. And I know you guys are going to come through. You know what I mean? Like you can play. And I think that's really important, and that people understand, like, that you have to be flexible. You know what I mean? But you also have to have enough range to be able to be, hey guys, these guys didn't show up, your tag team didn't show up, so you're both wrestling singles matches today. And then I can put you in a situation, whether it's main event or open the match, and then also I don't catch flack from you because I have to do open the match or whatever. Like you guys are just like, dude, I'm just want to wrestle. Exactly. I love that about you guys. It's zero drama. That's what I like. You know, like when they start getting manipulative and stuff like that, it's like, okay.
Well, to me, life's too short. We're not trying to take anybody's spot. We're trying to create our own spot. We're trying to go down our own journey. And at the end of the day, we want to not only have a great show for the company, but we want to give the best show for the crowd every single time. We want them to come up to us and be like, come back, please come back.
And promoters have to know that too. Like I realized that about you guys very early. And we also had a lot of time because I was doing mock shows at the training center, and then that let us kind of test some things out and do different things like that. And I was like, dude, man, like I said, you know, I got a lot of, you know, potential here with these guys. I mean, Jeff, you know, a lot of people, like, you worked this scene, and then a lot of that scene kind of went away. Like when you were working pre-2015, a lot of those guys aren't wrestling anymore. Or at least the fan base is different now because the fans got older.
You know or there's a new fan base. A lot of wrestlers forgot about the journey, and they focus so much on that destination of like they want to be on TV so bad that they're willing to do whatever it takes, but they burn themselves out to the point that they don't even enjoy where they're at right now.
It becomes that chase. It gets addictive to them, and it's just like I've never looked at it like I'm going to be wrestling Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Like I'd never been like, that's my goal by 2 years or whatever. I've always just been like, I'm just gonna go with the flow. Right. I think I put a good product. I believe in myself. You're doing good things.
You're doing big things.
I mean, I try to do what I can, and then like if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least I know I'm not going to stress out over it. You know, and there's been trials and tribulations in everyone's career.
For me, it's like if we're just able to wrestle, that's all I care about. Honestly, that's good enough for me.
Exactly, man. And like, I mean, you guys do it safely, and you're also innovative. You know who you guys remind me of a little bit, not this look, but like kind of like the Machine Guns, like Motor City Machine Guns, a little bit like you guys can do that real deep.
There's a dream
high IQ. We're
There's a
great
dream
tag
match for
team.
you. We would, if you could get a book somehow, some way.
Alex and
yeah.
yeah,
Actually, we both grew up on those guys. Like I was like
Saban
13,
and Shelley.
we were doing the.
They're
sit-out-
fantastic.
I was doing the sit out DVD like from Chris Saban when I was like
Cradle
14
Shock.
years old. So yeah, those guys are definitely like.
It just sucks they're not here. Like they're not in Florida. Like if they're in Florida, you kind of like post them, see what you can pull out of your rabbit out of your hat type of thing. But unfortunately, they're not here. Jay used to say his favorite wrestler to wrestle was Chris Saban.
Yeah,
really.
I can see that.
Yep.
I can see
he's like we just click.
Yeah.
Like it's like peanut butter and jelly, man. We're different, but we're the same, you know?
Yeah.
And it's funny. I've had it recently at MLW, a guy named one called Manders. You guys know who that is?
I don't.
He's like kind of have a cowboy gimmick. He's really he's in GCW and stuff like that.
Okay.
But he, I like with him, I have like this chemistry with him that I can't explain. Like it's just, and we haven't even had like, well, we were in a cage match, but it was like a stable type thing. But like, I just knew I had the comfort in knowing like I could just grab him or he could grab me and we could just go with it. And like some guys, you have that chemistry. Have you guys had that kind of experience yet? I'm sure Jeff, you probably have, but
with each other.
Yeah, I'm saying like
with each
he's
other.
one of the guys like when we have singles matches that
somebody you never kind of like knew, but then you have a match with them, you're like, man, that just like clicked. Yeah,
There's a few guys. When I wrestled Zane, we had a really cool like we have a very similar style growing up, so that was like that. Yeah, you know what's funny? Your boy, you know Ricky RSP, obviously Ricky Shane.
Yeah,
I wrestled him when I was like 14 years old, and he broke my wrist. He gave me like this super indie kick, like where you like spin like 360 kick, and I put my hand up.
Oh, the tornado kick he does?
Yeah, and he
or tropic kick, whatever you call it.
My wrist literally broke, and I had to go to school the next day in in 10th grade, and they're like, "What happened to you?" I'm like, I wrestled Ricky Page.
And they're like, "What? Who's that?"
Yeah.
Dude, Rick. Hey, just to put Rick over, dude, that guy.
He's the man.
Working with him,
he's the man.
One of the smartest wrestlers I've ever smart in wrestling wise, dude. Like that guy just understands so much, and he's so fluid. It's it's a true
for his size too. I mean, I know he's lost weight.
He's lost weight, but like and also like people like he's just he gets it. He's a leader. I think that's the word I'm looking for. He's a leader. Yeah. And
you know what's funny is my first
it's great work with him as well. You know,
my first match I ever had that was paid when I was 15 for in Massachusetts. Ricky was the main event. It was his team Faith and Nothing when he was with the Christian or not. He was Christian Faith at the time, but my shoes.
His name was Christian Faith.
Yeah. He used to wrestle in a mask as Christian Faith, and his partner
was he like it was a religious gimmick?
No, it was like kind of anti-religion. It was really cool. If you look it up, you'll find some matches. And he was in the main event. I was in the pre-main, and my shoes ripped. So he was like, take my boots out, and you could wear my boots, even though he was in the main event. So I literally go out there in the pre-main with his boots on. He had big ass shoes too, so he had like size 15s. And then right after my match, I get back and I have to like untie them. I'm like, here, take him. While he's like going out. Ricky's a good dude. I've had some good memories with him.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Clay, what about anybody other than Jeff you can think of that you kind of hopped in there and you were like, man, this is like peanut butter jelly?
Xavier.
Xavier, he's definitely one of them. We can always pull out a banger. And then a lot of people I trained with too that was in my class.
Like Josh Wise. I know you and Josh clicked a lot.
Yeah,
you
Josh,
and Pat clicked too. You know, rest in peace. He died a year ago, actually, from yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that on Facebook. Yeah, I made a comment on his Facebook and stuff about him.
Brandon Delgado.
Yeah, he was. I was glad he made his debut before it all happened.
It's so crazy how the circumstances that came of that, and he actually lives like near me, like so sometimes I would bring him to practice with me or the shows or what have you. And it was funny. He started getting kind of busy because he finally got a good stable job while he was training, but then that kind of took up time. He couldn't go to shows and stuff. And I'm like, Pat, if you want to wrestle, you need to start coming out to the shows so I can book you.
Yeah.
I can't book you if you're never available. And then he finally got that in order. And then he started helping, did camera or whatever it was. And then he ended up going and, I got his debut there with the DOM. And actually that match will be airing on Fight. I put that out actually with him, last year, but that episode's gonna be coming out pretty soon here. But it's been, yeah. I mean, I've seen you kind of evolve, like with Jeff. Well, I've seen Jeff evolve as well in a sense, but like I've really seen you evolve over the time, which has been fantastic to see. And I mean, you guys are one of the staple teams in Tampa Bay Pro now. So
we appreciate it.
Yeah, we do.
We are very blessed.
We try our best too.
You guys don't need to suck up to the boss, don't worry. I got a lot of respect for you guys, regardless of
Us
that.
too.
But the thing is I think you guys got a lot of upside, so to say, and definitely get on TV somewhere. I mean, if people look and see you guys, we're kind of starting to add some character to you, and we're like, do like this UFO thing, and I'm a kind of a nerd for that kind of stuff too. Yeah. So like, it's even more fun for me with that. It's like, hey, like let's have some fun with it. It gets some eyeballs on the product. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then, but the thing is like,
we want to keep it going too.
But you guys bring it too. Like it's not just your gimmick thing. You bring it in the ring, and like I have no doubt that if like Kenny Omega was like, hey Dax, can I work your show or something, like say there was some weird circumstance, I want to help out a young guy, I could put either one of you guys in the situation, you guys could wrestle with him and have a banger. 100%. You know what I mean? So like and like, or I know I could take guys that are green as goose shit, put them in a situation with you guys, and you guys could still have a banger with them. So it just comes down to like that range is so important, and you guys are just happy to you're professional about it, things like that.
Thank you. We love wrestling, man.
That's all we want to do.
We know that like once we're in that ring, we're gonna protect our opponents, we're gonna protect ourselves, and we're gonna give the best show possible. And it might not even look like we're protecting when we're landing on our heads, but we're doing our best. Like we promise.
No, you guys are. I don't worry about you guys too much unless like we'll usually. I know you will let me know typically. Any before we wrap it up, I just got a few other things. You have done some road work here. Any kind of road stories you guys want to bring up or anything like that? Jeff, I'm sure you got some wild ones too from back in the day.
Road stories. Well, we actually took a trip to Pennsylvania when we were like 18.
Okay, that one.
That was pretty crazy. I took Clayton with me. He stayed at my house in Stamford with my parents. We went to wrestle with like Tony Deppin's Fed. Actually, I think it was like 2011-ish, 10 maybe. And
before that,
yada yada. We had a great weekend. We wrestled at some church in Pennsylvania. It was great. On the way back, I don't even know we should say this on air, but like we got arrested. Clayton was like 17 or something. We didn't get arrested, but I had some. I don't even know if I should say
adult embellishments. Okay,
I had some greeneries, and we got pulled over in like where was it?
Georgia. We were in Georgia,
so Georgia does not take kindly to that type of stuff.
And their officers are not nice.
And Clayton was like 17 years old, and like me and my buddy Ryan were so scared we were gonna get this kid like arrested in Georgia.
Yeah,
they let us go with like a fine or whatever.
Yeah, we were lucky that day. We were very lucky.
That was a long time ago.
Oh my!
I was actually taking him to like bars and stuff in Stanford. I was like 21 and he was like 17.
And we were sleeping in your car too at that time instead of getting a hotel, and that was miserable.
Yeah. We didn't get a hotel. We drove
3 guys in the car.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Something like that.
It's so hard for me to sleep in cars. You know what I mean?
Me too. Me
you
too.
know, and like, especially when you do those
Physical.
long range ones, and then
Right.
like I have a CPAP.
Right.
So if I fall asleep and I don't have that on, it's like, like,
Yeah.
but I did figure it out eventually. If I do have to do an overnight or something like long range, I have like a little thing to plug into the car, so then I can actually use my CPAP in the car, which is kind of funny because it's loud as fuck. But but yeah, that's
another story. When we went to Tennessee, so when we found this waterfall, I'm like, dude, there's nothing to check out around here. There's like literally no stores to look at, with no malls or nothing.
It was pretty boring.
Within 30 minutes of here. So we're like, I just find this I'm like, coolest things to do in Crossville, and like this waterfall comes up. I'm like, all right, we got to find this. And Clayton's like, oh man, I don't like waterfalls, blah blah blah. So we find it, we like take a trek through the whole thing, and we get to it, and we think we're there, and we look over, and we're at the top of this waterfall. It's like 200 feet in the air. We're like,
pretty freaky.
Oh snap! And we like we had to walk through this whole trail. So then we're like, how are we gonna get to the bottom of it? We can't take a picture of it up here. We get, so we had to like hike down like through mud, and I'm in like Air Force Ones, and Clayton's like, I don't know about this.
I fell in the water.
Yeah, he falls in the water.
See, Jeff, I just imagine you jumping off of the waterfall.
Yeah,
that's what I see.
If there was a big mat, I might have, but there's a lot of rocks. There's a lot of rocks,
and it was very, very high. Like,
yeah. But
Jeff, have you ever jumped off a waterfall?
No,
like on to Hawaii or something?
No, I'm lying. I did. And it's here's a story. I was 17 years old. We used to sneak into this it was like a reservoir in Stanford, and there's like a cliff. It was pretty high up, so it's kind of like a waterfall. There was like water next to it, but we used to jump off the cliff. And like, if you didn't jump over the rocks, you would like hit the ground and you'd feel it, right? So I'm like the first one to jump, and all my friends are like, Jeff, you gotta do it. You're the crazy one. So I do it. I jump as far as I can, and I just land on my ass, and it feels like my ass is just like pouring out. But all my friends didn't go yet, so they're still on the top of the cliff. So they're like,
why didn't you try to like pencil it or something, or do it?
I just messed up, man. I did like a leg drop.
Oh, jeez, that's like the worst.
And I'm just like in pain, and they're like, how was it? And I just want them all to do it with me. So I'm like, awesome.
Yeah.
Rough.
It's funny, like being from up north, like we used to, because I had like a lot of cousins and uncles and stuff like that were in like the boonies, the southern tier of upstate New York. And like there was like this railroad bridges, and we used to go, and I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go to the very top, but like the old railroad bridges, people they would go all the way to the very, very top. Like I would jump off the railroad bridge, like where the track part was, and jump into the water, or whatever. Now these motherfuckers were going all the way to the fucking top of that railroad bridge, and jumping off of that like nothing, dude. And I was a pretty wild, but I heights, I can't do heights, brother.
Yeah, now that I'm older, heights are scary as hell. Like I can't look over like a high railing. I'm like, I start to get really paranoid, and I get anxious.
Like top rope stuff. I see you do top rope stuff.
I could do a flip off the top rope. It's like 10 feet. But once I get to like 50 to 100 feet, I get scared.
It's crazy, dude.
Because that's the end of your life. You could lose it in a second just falling.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. It's been some craziness, and I always. I don't want to die. That's what it comes down to.
Not at all. We're happy about that. We don't want to do
either. And for me, like I love seeing you guys do like top rope shit and stuff like that, or doing dives or stuff, because like I don't do that. Like there are things I can do, but it just hurts too much. You know what I mean? And then like I ended up getting injured. Fucking something stupid on an elimination in a rumble or something, I've done all sorts of things, like never had problems with it. It's just one little stupid thing that happened.
Ironically, I've never really gotten hurt from a big spot. Anytime I've gotten hurt, it's from like twisting my ankle, hitting the ropes,
or like turning or something like that.
I've sprained my ankle doing a move I've done multiple times. You just never know what's gonna happen.
Just shit happens sometimes. You just have to be prepared for that kind of stuff.
You just gotta stay limber and try not to. That's it.
Yeah.
Just be careful.
How soon? So what's your warm up routine? I know, Jeff, like you kind of have a unique. You're kind of bopping around a little bit before your match. Like, do you have kind of a ceremonial preparation?
I mean, aside from
Before
stretching,
your
I like
match?
to stretch. I like to
Well,
make
you
sure
do
we-
stretch. Like I harp guys all the time. Like, go fucking stretch right now,
Yeah,
guys. I'm
because
tired
if
of
not,
this shit.
you could pull a hamstring. You
Yeah.
could just pull anything. Like I've hyperextended my knee. I've broken like 10 bones over the years. So
But you also, played like
I
sports
played
as well.
football. I played football a
yeah.
couple years. I had to quit football. I have this thing called Osgood Schlatters in my knee. You can't really see it, but it's this big bump on my knee. So I actually, if I fall on that, it's like excruciating. And I've gotten injured a lot over the years. So I think that's helped me learn how to not get injured. But at the same time, it's built up over the time. But besides that, I try to say like a prayer before a match. I talk to whatever, higher powers up above. I ask, I say, please look out for me and my opponent. Make sure we're good. I don't want anyone getting hurt, because the last thing I want is to have a good match, and then the only thing we remember is going to the hospital. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's all you will remember. You know what I mean?
So that's it. I always say a prayer that I'm going to go home to my family, my woman, my kids, and that's it. That's what matters.
Clay, what about you?
Honestly, usually stretching, and then I listen to music a lot, try to get in the zone, try to think of some awesome stuff to do and whose butt to whoop.
What's your music of choice in that situation?
Anything rock-wise, like, for example, like Breaking Benjamin, Linkin Park, Seether, stuff like that, 3 Days Grace.
All the good stuff, man.
Yeah,
That's
all
what
the
I
good
like.
stuff.
Saliva, Disturbed, Breaking Benjamin, Slipknot.
Exactly.
Are you I'm in that similar boat. We all kind of have that generation in us. I guess one thing I got to get out, Jeff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the gimmick.
Yeah.
With the aliens.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. What? So where does this is your first time doing that gimmick? Is that right?
I'll be honest. I got into aliens like 2000. It sounds weird to say it like that, but like I started to believe. I've always heard about
research it and things like that. Yeah.
So I was in college. I went back to college. I was like in a documentary class, and I think I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was Joe Rogan had Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 on his podcast. Tom talks about how he left Blink to study and like be involved in all this UFO stuff.
To Stars of the World, or I can't remember the name.
To the Stars, yeah. So he ended up being like the guy that orchestrated them releasing the Tic Tac videos and all these like Navy videos. And I started to think maybe there is something to this, right? So then I started digging deep into like Roswell, Area 51, Bob Lazar, and something in it just like made me think like whether this is 100% real or not, there's a lot of cover-ups going on. There's a lot of legitimacy to this, and to think that we're the only smart life form on the world is not even in the world, but in the universe, in the galaxy is insane. And there's too many things that like tie everything together that I was like, you know what? This is real to me. Like it's as real as religion to most people to me. And I did a documentary on it when I was in college. I got 100% on it for my documentary class. And then when Clayton's like, he wants to start a tag team.
Had to think of a gimmick.
And he was already a superhero. I'm like, you know what? I want to do something different. I want to do something that's never been done before in wrestling. So I'm like, I'm just going to be, UFO alien to the fullest. I'm gonna be like Macho Man meets Bob Lazar, and if he wrestled like AJ Styles. And
well, Bob Lazar actually doesn't like talking about it. He's like so nonchalant about it.
He's never made $1 off of it, and
he doesn't care. He wants to do his whatever.
Exactly, and he's the reason
mineral stuff that he does in his business.
Yeah, exactly, and he's the reason we even know what Area 51 is. It's like. And then Roswell thing is just crazy to me. Justine, if you ask my girlfriend Justina, she'd say it's crazy. But I sometimes I go to sleep listening to like Art Bell interviewing like Bob Lazar and stuff. Like that's like what I'm into because I'm like fascinated by it. And like to me,
dude, I'm into all that paranormal stuff, man.
Exactly.
I love it. And there's so much content out there now too.
It's real, and whether or not it's like everything's real about it, some of it's real. You know what I mean? And I figured nobody's ever done it in wrestling, at least to this extent. Obviously, people have had like like maybe like spacey gimmicks and like even Stardust, but like no one's gone full alien with it. So I'm like, you know what? I got to be the guy. That's it.
Yeah, I was talking to Clay about some ideas. I was running by him, and I'm like, "You seen the X Files?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
You ever seen the X
I haven't seen
Files?"
any of that.
That's like one of my favorite shows of all time. And I was like, "Dude, like, man, there's so much. You need to watch X Files a few times."
Absolutely.
But
we got to do some Men in Black stuff. We've got to incorporate it more. But yeah, I think there's a lot we could do with it. That's what I like about it.
And we can do tongue-in-cheek stuff, but we can also get it more serious too. There's a lot of range that that can take, and I think it'll be a lot of fun there. Do you guys have No, I know you got some stuff on the merch store. At least the shirt you have on now. But I know that's up. But you also have Pro Wrestling Tees as well.
We're on Pro Wrestling Tees. We're on Tampa Bay Pro Shop.
TampaBayPro.com.
And then are we on another?
I don't know. I think that's it. I think it's just those two.
So it's those two. And then, we're thinking of other merch stuff. I have a couple other designs we're working on. But right now we're just kind of running with this logo.
I love that design. I think it's great.
Yeah. Eddie Ruger.
Yeah, Ed Ruger. Yep, he made it.
Yeah, good
Ed
guy.
Ruger. Who's Ed Ruger?
So he's kind of in the wrestling business, I think. He's more in
music.
music.
He does a lot of theme songs. He actually did my theme song twice, and he did 3 of my logos.
Yeah, and
great.
I know he works with other wrestlers, and he's in music more. He raps. He's a good dude. Really, really creative.
Really nice and polite.
Eddie Ruger, yeah.
So real quick, since you guys have done stuff for a while, what are all the gimmick names that you've had in wrestling? Or gimmicks, I guess you would have. I'll start with Jeff.
So I mostly went by my real name since I've been pro.
Yeah, you have.
When I was younger, when my
brother... But did you have a moniker to it? I'm like Daxcast or whatever. I
was always Jeff Yager. I used to be called Soy Boy when I was growing up. So
Soy Boy. Why is
Soy
that?
Boy.
SOY? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, SOYBOY. My brother was like, "Hey, you need a name. You're gonna wrestle on our show." When I was 9 years old, and I used to wrestle with GI Joes, those little GI Joes, and I'd always put together shows. And my two main guys, one of them was Soy Boy. That was his wrestling name. So he's like, "What's your wrestling name?" I was like, "Soy Boy." So they loved it. They used to troll me about it since I was really young. So it stayed with me till I was 16 years old, something like that. So that was the only gimmick name I really had. And then Clayton was just Clayton Cross.
I always use the name Clayton Cross ever since when I started. I just always loved it.
So no relation to Alex Cross.
Not at all.
No.
Well, that wasn't inspire you at all.
No,
I just Clayton Cross since I met him. Really,
as soon as you said that, and then I was like, "Well, is it like Kevin Cross?" I was like, "Is he related to Kevin Cross?" It could work, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not related to any one of them. There's a lot of crosses out there. That's
what's funny is our buddy that we wrestled with, Ryan. His name was Kenny Storm. So I think their whole thing was just adding a normal name to some random adjective after. So Kenny Storm, Clayton Cross. There's a
Barry Blaster, whatever,
Yeah, I just stuck with it because it was really easy and I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Jeff, it's kind of funny, those names have slowly gone away, they've aged up, but then I guess Clayton's still kind of keeping it going a little bit for us.
Yeah, I agree. No, I'm happy. I mean, he could go by his real name, Clayton Rice, but we think Cross is a little bit more.
Rice doesn't sound so cool.
I forgot his last name was Rice. I got him on Facebook.
Because Rice isn't that bad. He could do a lot. He could have the pork fried rice burger, pork fried rice driver. And he should start doing a crossbody. I always tell him he needs to do a crossbody.
He does crossbody off the top rope.
Sometimes,
yeah.
Usually it's a swanton. And then,
that's we used to call it the Clayton bomb.
Yeah,
the Clayton bomb.
Man, that was a while ago.
Yeah. He could do the Claymore.
Yeah,
yes, I would. He should do the Claymore.
You
should do the Claymore from the top rope. That would hurt though.
Yeah,
let's not do that.
No. What is the finishing move? The name of your finishing move, and
right now
describe that for the listeners.
The Roswell crash.
Okay.
Kind of like the kryptonite, or no? What's the other one? The crash. There was a wrestling move with crash at the Alabama Slam. No, concrete crash. So the Alabama Slam used to be the concrete crash. So I thought of Roswell crash. So that's what we got.
Yeah.
You know,
We're
we got to do
still
some
trying to figure
promos where
out-
you're at Area 51, like at the gate,
Yeah,
and they honk the horn at you.
Yeah. One day I'm gonna make him go out there so we could cut some promos right at the desert, and that'll be awesome.
That would be pretty cool.
There are promotions in New Mexico. Not
true.
a lot. There's some in Albuquerque.
More in Mexico, but yeah,
More in Mexico than New Mexico. That's for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and singles finishers. What do you got? Clay, what's your usual go-to?
So mine's the Jaeger bomb. It's like an orange. It's the orange crush bomb.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
It's called the Jaeger bomb. And what's your?
I don't
Which is
really
what?
have a fancy name to it. It's either like the running knee or the curve stomp that like Seth Rollins does.
Oh yeah, you do the curb stomp a lot. That's right. I didn't realize that
those
was your finisher. but I thought you did a shining wizard.
No, that was Josh that used to. Josh used to do that.
Oh,
Let's make him
okay.
do it on Saturday.
We'll wait.
I think I'm gonna have Clayton do a cool dive for you on Saturday. So keep your eyes peeled.
Wow.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, we've been talking.
I'll be there.
about
I'm not wrestling, but I'll be there.
If you want to do a run in and help us out, we'll appreciate it.
Well, I won't be running. I can't run right now.
Walk
Very
in,
well.
do a walk in.
I'll slowly limp my way to the ring. I'll
Awesome.
impress everybody. Yeah, my focus will be working in the back and everything situated. Then I got commentary and helping with because I do the commentary for the girls, for the ladies for Dream. So we got 2 matches that. And anything else you guys want to plug for the time being? You have some upcoming shows, merch stuff coming out, any other projects? Oh shoot, I got one thing. I gotta
go for it.
one thing that, because Jeff's an interesting guy. Jeff is a published author.
Yes.
I want to touch on that. And you also are a rapper.
Yes.
it.
Yes.
What else do we
that
got?
could be its own
Is there anything else?
So yeah, I mean, so I write books, I wrestle, I rap, and I want to do a lot of other stuff. I have like inventions and like apps I want to create, but let's not get into all that. That's
So the rap. Let's start with the rap thing. It's J Free. Is that right?
Free. JAYFREE. J Free. I got 3 albums on iTunes and Spotify. I actually do have an album coming out pretty soon, so you'll be one of the first to hear that. I got that back cover and the front
You're
cover.
pretty good too, like Jeff. Like some people, I can rap and be like every guy from the 2000s be like, I can try to rap, but you can actually go like you got some.
Yeah, thanks. I take a little bit of pride in it.
You got some bars there.
Thank you. Yeah, and then I got a few books out there. I have a few books I have to publish, so definitely.
What
got
type
a lot
of books
stuff
are
in
they?
there.
They're like sci-fi, like
they're like between sci-fi and social commentary novels, fiction novels. Everything I want to turn into like a movie one day or a show.
This is like ebooks, like on Amazon and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
they're all in ebooks. They're all physical books. I have audio books for most of them actually. So I've actually been in. I didn't think I was going to write until I was like 21.
What's the names of some of the books? If people
so the most recent one is 7 Days in Virtual Reality. So that one's like my favorite. Another one's called I Like God. It's about this dude that makes a Facebook page for God and then becomes like, super big. And then Adam and Eve. Adam is spelled like an atom, like a science atom. So
ATOM.
ATOM and Eve. Those are my novels. Then I have 2 children's books, Chuck and Alfonso, and The Question Is Why. So those are everything that's published. And then besides that, I have like 5 books I'm sitting on that I have to publish.
You should bring the books to your.
I know.
To the merch stand.
I got to set up the merch. Like I focus on the wrestling, but next show I'm thinking about putting out some albums.
You gotta do your entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
You're a businessman to make that money.
I know. You're right. Besides that, I work in an office. We supply businesses with electricity and gas in like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York.
Nice.
So that's the daily grind. I don't know how long I'm going to be there after we have the baby. I'm planning a few things.
I'm always seeing you post like it's like a Top Gun awards and all that kind of stuff. Because Jeff is an overachiever. It's like nothing. Like,
it's
showing everybody
not my dream. It's cool for now, but it's definitely not my passion.
Oh yeah, but that's fine.
Pays the bills for now. But I can't.
Clayton works on boats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sells boats.
I don't work on them. I'm not that smart.
He works on cars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even work on them. I just sell them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you work with them. You
Yeah.
work with them. Yeah.
And
But
we're
yeah,
the-
man. It's just such an interesting team here, and
Thank
like
you.
a lot of history there. I really wanted to get you guys. I'm glad I got you on the podcast. If there's anything else you guys want to plug, just let me just go for it now.
Just anyone listening to this better be there on Saturday at Retro Rat to witness. We're going for that #1 contender shot.
going to war, and we will win.
Yeah, and
We will
we're
win.
excited, and yeah, we appreciate Dax not only for having us on the podcast, but for looking out for us, booking us and just being our guy. And we really
Hey man,
appreciate
I
him.
just give you guys the opportunity. You're the one that writes the book. You know what I mean? So,
No pun intended.
guys,
That's right.
guys, thanks so much. I'll see you Saturday. Come check us out at Night of Destruction.
Dax.
All
Yeah,
right.
All right,
be there.
thank you.
We'll see you there, boss.
Yep, see you there.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Dax.
boys. Bye. Great podcast interview with UnNatural Causes. I want to give them props. Everyone, you guys can see them and others in action at Night of Destruction, Saturday, May 27th at 1915 East Bay Drive, Largo, Florida, at Retro Rat Video Games and Toys. $50 entry. Doors start at 6 p.m. Bell time will be at 7 p.m. Tickets can be had at TampaBayProWrestling.com. In the main event, we have Bud Heavy facing off with Stephen Frick in a total destruction match with special guest referee Hardcore Scum himself, Ruby Flyer. This match is a first time we've ever done this match. It's going to require all specific weapons or foreign objects to be utilized in the match, and special guest referee has to ensure that they're used prior to any pinfall or submission victory can be had. Next up, we have Dream Women's Wrestling Showcase. The submission queen, Persia Pierce, takes on Emily Locke. Next, we have the debut Nikki Jade taking on Karma Dean, along with Tracy Nix in a triple threat affair. In the tag team #1 contender, as mentioned, this is the UnNatural Causes, Jeff Yager and Clayton Cross, taking on the team of Exodus of the Movement, with Casper, Josh Wise, and Logan Wrights on the outside. In Cruiserweight action, we have Cowboy Kid, Andrew Mitchell, taking on the Movement's leader, Logan Wrights. In a grudge match, we have newly formed team Rip Ruiz and TLS taking on the Disruption, Boone the Gator King, Coat Manson with the Sinister Citranic. In a showcase match, the Trillmonger himself, Sage Scott, takes on the hired gun of the Commissioner's Cabinet, Samuel C. Next off, we have Battle of the Dogs. K9 Alpha T takes on Hound Dog, Damien Gemini. And in a heavyweight #1 contendership, a six-pack challenge will be featuring The Tank, Nick Abrams, Drake Xavier with the Princess of Weird, Josh Johnson, the Bollywood icon, Omkar, debuting Shane and Taku, Coat Gentry, and Preston Veston. All tickets are general admission. They're only $15. Seating is first come, first serve. All merchandise requires purchase separate. Snacks, soft drinks will be available for purchase at the event. The live event is located in the rear parking lot of Retro Rat Toys and Comic Store. Kids are free with paid adult, 12 years or younger. Match card is subject to change. Tickets are available now online at TampaBayProWrestling.com or can be had at the door when you arrive at the event. Credit card and cash is acceptable. I hope to see you guys there. It will be one hell of a show. And thanks for listening to the Daxcast.
Hey, for all your merchandise and collectible needs, check out ShopTampaBayProWrestling.com. We've got merch and more from your favorite superstars. We'll see you there.